The North Atlantic Ocean had always been dangerous during winter. Massive waves, freezing winds, and thick fog often swallowed entire ships without warning. For generations, sailors told stories about a mysterious vessel known only as the Phantom Ship. Most people believed it was a legend. Captain William Hart did not. For years, he had heard stories from old fishermen about a ghostly wreck appearing during storms. According to the tales, anyone who boarded the vessel never returned the same. Some vanished forever. Others returned speaking about whispers from beneath the sea. One cold evening, William and his crew sailed through a dense fog while returning from a fishing expedition. Visibility had dropped so low that the men could barely see beyond the bow of their ship. The sea was strangely calm. Too calm. Then one sailor pointed into the fog. "Captain, look." A dark shape slowly appeared ahead. At first, William thought it was another fishing vessel. But as the fog shifted, everyone froze. An ancient wooden ship drifted silently across the water. Its sails were torn, its mast broken. The hull looked centuries old, yet somehow it remained afloat. No lights burned aboard. No crew could be seen. The strange vessel moved without making a sound. The sailors exchanged nervous glances. One elderly crewman crossed himself immediately. The Phantom Ship. William tried to remain calm. There must be an explanation. But deep inside, he felt uneasy. As they approached closer, something strange became visible. Fresh footprints covered the deck. Someone had been walking there recently. Then a bell rang somewhere aboard the abandoned ship. Once, twice, 3 times. The sound echoed across the foggy sea. Every sailor heard it, but nobody stood near the bell. The Phantom Ship continued drifting silently through the darkness. And against his better judgment, Captain William ordered his crew to follow it. He had no idea that decision would change their lives forever. The mysterious ship drifted through the fog for nearly an hour before finally stopping. The sea around it became completely still. Not a single wave touched the hull. Captain William stared at the vessel through his lantern light. The ship looked older than anything he had ever seen. Its wood appeared blackened by age. Barnacles covered every surface. Ancient ropes hung from the broken masts like spider webs. Yet the vessel showed no signs of sinking. It simply floated there, waiting. Several crew members begged William to leave. "This place is cursed," one sailor whispered. But curiosity overcame fear. William lowered a small boat and selected 4 men to accompany him. Together they crossed the silent water and climbed aboard the ghostly wreck. The moment their feet touched the deck, a freezing chill spread through the air. The ship felt wrong. No birds landed on it. No sea life surrounded it. Even the wind seemed afraid to touch the vessel. Lanterns illuminated strange details. Fresh footprints crossed the deck despite layers of ancient dust. Doors creaked slowly open and closed by themselves. Somewhere below, faint whispers echoed through the wooden halls. The crew searched every room. No living person could be found. Yet signs of recent activity appeared everywhere. Half-burned candles, wet footprints, fresh water inside old cups, as if invisible sailors still lived aboard the ship. Then they reached the captain's cabin. Inside rested a massive journal covered in salt and age. William carefully opened it. The first pages described a voyage nearly 200 years old. A merchant ship caught in a violent storm. But as he continued reading, the entries became darker. The crew reported hearing voices beneath the sea, strange lights below the waves, people disappearing during the night. Then the final entry ended abruptly. "We opened the chest. God forgive us." Nothing else was written. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed below deck. The whispers stopped instantly, and something began moving inside the darkness beneath the ship. The sound came again. Heavy footsteps. Slow, deliberate, moving somewhere beneath the Phantom Ship. Captain William closed the journal immediately. Every sailor stood frozen. Nobody wanted to investigate. Yet nobody wanted to remain standing in silence either. The footsteps continued. One step, then another, each echoing through the ancient wooden halls. William finally raised his lantern. "We find out what's down there." The crew reluctantly followed. A narrow staircase led below deck into complete darkness. The air grew colder with every step. Water dripped from the ceiling. Strange symbols appeared carved into the walls. Some depicted ships sinking beneath enormous waves. Others showed shadowy figures rising from the sea. Then they reached the cargo hold. The room was enormous. and completely empty, or so it seemed. In the center of the hold stood a single wooden chest reinforced with iron bands. The chest looked ancient. Its lock had already been broken. William remembered the final journal entry immediately. We opened the chest. The crew approached cautiously. The chest sat open, empty, but something had clearly escaped. Suddenly, the lantern flames flickered violently. A freezing wind rushed through the cargo hold. Then voices filled the darkness. Hundreds of whispers speaking at once. The sailors panicked. Some ran toward the stairs. Others covered their ears. William turned his lantern toward the far corner of the room and saw them, figures standing silently in the shadows. Dozens of pale sailors wearing centuries-old clothing. Their skin looked gray, their eyes completely black. The lost crew of the phantom ship. They watched without moving, without blinking. Then one stepped forward. Its mouth opened slowly, and a voice emerged. "Leave, before it returns." The ship suddenly shook. Above them, thunder exploded across the sky. The sea that had remained calm for hours erupted into massive waves. Something was coming. Something the ghosts feared. The entire ship trembled violently. Massive waves slammed against the hull, while thunder rolled across the black sky above. Captain William and his crew rushed back onto the deck. The fog had changed. It now swirled around the phantom ship like a living thing. Lightning illuminated the ocean, and for a brief second, William saw something impossible beneath the water. A gigantic shadow, moving below the ship. The creature was enormous, far larger than any whale, far larger than any ship. The sea itself seemed to move around it. One sailor screamed. Another fell to his knees praying. The ghostly crew now stood along the rails of the phantom ship, silent, watching the water, waiting. Then the ocean exploded. A massive shape emerged briefly from the waves before vanishing beneath the surface again. Only a glowing eye remained visible for a moment, an eye larger than a lifeboat. William finally understood. Whatever escaped from the chest centuries ago had never left. It lived beneath the sea, and the phantom ship remained trapped above it forever. The ghost sailors had become its prisoners. A deafening roar echoed from below the ocean. The phantom ship began breaking apart. Wood cracked. Masts collapsed. The ancient vessel could no longer hold together. The ghosts slowly turned toward William. One raised a hand and pointed toward his boat. "Go." The crew needed no further warning. They rushed back toward their vessel as the sea continued exploding around them. Behind them, the phantom ship began sinking. But the nightmare was not over, because the creature beneath the waves had started following them. The storm raged across the ocean as Captain William's ship raced through towering waves. Behind them, the phantom ship disappeared beneath the sea. For a moment, William believed the nightmare had ended. Then he looked back. The glowing eye still followed them beneath the water. The creature moved silently below the waves, keeping pace. Watching, the crew pushed the ship harder than ever before. Hours passed. The storm continued. Then suddenly, just before dawn, the sea became calm. The glowing eye vanished. The creature was gone. No one spoke. Nobody wanted to discuss what they had seen. When they finally reached port, William reported everything. The abandoned vessel, the ghost crew, the chest, the monster beneath the sea. No one believed him. Officials blamed exhaustion and bad weather. Newspapers mocked the story. Yet every sailor who had boarded the phantom ship told the exact same account. Years passed. Most of the crew retired from the sea, but none ever forgot that night. Then strange reports began appearing again. Fishing boats disappearing during heavy fog. Ancient bells ringing across empty waters. A ruined ship drifting silently through storms. Always the same description. Always the same vessel. The phantom ship. To this day, sailors crossing the North Atlantic still share warnings about the ghostly wreck. Some claim they have seen it emerge from the fog during violent storms. Others report hearing whispers carried by the wind across empty seas. And occasionally, during the darkest nights, witnesses describe seeing a single enormous glowing eye beneath the water. Watching, waiting, following. No one knows whether the phantom ship is cursed, haunted, or trapped between worlds. But one thing remains certain. If you ever see an ancient wreck drifting silently through the fog, do not board it, because some legends are real, and some ships were never meant to be found.